Hey everybody, I'm Scotty J, and you are watching Rock Titan TV. I have a very distinguished guest with us right now. I'm very excited to introduce you to him, actually. His name is Leslie Mandoki, in case you've never heard of him. He's got a band, or I should say more of like a symphony orchestra of some of the greatest artists, Grammy Award winners from the 70s and 80s and beyond. And it is the Mandoki Soulmates. And these guys are truly incredible. They're a sensation throughout Europe. And they're about to come to the United States for the very first time, January 29th, at the Beacon Theater in New York City. So again, everyone, I just want to introduce you to Leslie Mandoki, producer, singer, songwriter, percussionist for the Mandoki Soulmates. Leslie, how are you, sir?
I'm very, very pleased, and thank you for having me to join your show. And you're a legend yourself, so thank you for having us. And we're having the opportunity to dive into our music and our messages. And we have a kind of way to approach the music. Our music is not kind of text message like pop music very often is. This is more a handwritten a love letter to our audience, and we hold on to this idealistic way, very emotional and very handcrafted kind of music, which is a cross between rock songs and the good old jazz rock inspired of the 70s, but very modern, very current, very contemporary answers on the questions of our times. As we all know, we are living in kind of news bubbles, and we are living in times of fake news and filtered bubbles, and so we are kind of very idealistic about that. We owe the audience of honesty. We don't know the truth. A lot of politicians are claiming that they know what the truth is. But we don't know. We are artists. We are musicians, but we do know one thing, that we owe our audience a lot. And this is honesty, so to give some authentic music, what you deserve, which is very, very straight from our heart, the way as we reflect our world. And everybody who is coming to our concerts should feel that we are still playing this idealistic kind of music for a better world. And we can achieve in a couple of hours we spend together in the theater, together, that everybody feels that yes, idealism is the answer, and to hold on to our vision and to build a better world. And finally, actually, if you would ask me what is the real reason for writing such songs with these blessed musicians, then we hear the whole day, and we see our smartphones the whole day, the news, what is dividing us. And we are creating an evening with songs about the issues and subjects and the feelings and emotions, what are all uniting us. And this is our message.
Right. Well, I think that's a beautiful message, for one. And from what I understand, just coming from some of your contemporaries and some of your peers, I know you've been referred to as the Quincy Jones of Hungary. So again, for all of our audience in the United States that, again, aren't familiar with Leslie Mandoki, and am I pronouncing your last name properly? I want to do that for you, sir. So Mandoki, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Mandoki.
This really is an amazing project. Of course, you've been around for years. You're celebrated over in Europe and Asia. I know that's where you've been doing a lot. And again, you're coming to the United States with your Mandoki Soulmates for the first time, January 29th. Why now? What took so long for you to get over here?
This is America is always a dream for a European musician, and as I escaped communism, I wanted to go to the States, because it's always been the dream to be part of the great American rock and jazz rock heritage. And but as I came through a tunnel as a refugee, and being, as I was 22, kind of the rock voice of the student oppositional movement against the dictatorship, against communism, I was sort of kind of a teenage boy with the American dream in the heart. And as my father died, I was 16, and he said to me on his very last day, he said, "Boy, you gotta go find your way, and don't dream your life. Just live your dreams." That was his last word, his last statements to me. So I'm just following his advice, and I'm living those dreams. But very unfortunately, it was not taking me to the United States in the way as I always was dreaming of. It was taking me sometimes, of course. I worked in many studios and Disney soundtracks and countless recordings in New York City and Los Angeles, and I was also playing in a kind of very close circle, as we call it, industrial gigs too. One was the opening of the Dietrich Mode show with Chaka Khan, featuring our soulmates, and once in Miami as we were opening the Art Basel Miami. But this was only for a small circle of people. It was not open, it was not public, and it's the very first time that we are playing public. And why now? Actually, the most of the members of the band are Americans.
Right.
Most of the band are New Yorkers. And we always said, hey, Leslie, we're going to play in New York. And now, thanks to our blessing partner, Joe Katz, he was opening up the opportunity to get this invitation through Grammys and the Music Cares to the Beacon and after Grammy show.
Yeah, great time.
We were... And this is the only public show during that very week, and during the Grammy week, and we are very pleased and very honored that we can do that, and we are able to do so, and we are very happy, and we feel it's a privilege to play in New York and rock New York, in a way with our music.
Yeah, and I believe you will, especially with your cast of soulmates. It's pretty amazing. I mean, when I was first introduced to you, and just kind of looking over what the Mandoki Soulmates were all about, and, you know, just looking of what comprised your group, you know, seeing the likes of, like, Bobby Kimball, you know, and, oh my God, John Hollowell, you know, from Supertramp. I mean, and the list goes on. How did that come to be? How did you put that together? Because I mean, it's almost like you're like a wizard and an apothecary, and you're like, if I'm going to form the most amazing rock group of all time, you know, and put all these guys together, you really assembled some of the best and greatest musicians of their time. How? How did you do it? What inspired that in your mind? You know, I mean, obviously that would take a lot more time than we have to talk about it, but, you know, in a wrapped up kind of, you know, briefer version.
I make it for you kind of short and easy. Imagine I'm sitting in a refugee camp. I'm 22 and a half. I'm not speaking a word German. And, I just got it. And the American CIA guy is asking me, say, hey, boy, we understand that you are the leading voice of the student opposition and as a rock star against communism. But what the hell are you going to do now here in the free world? And as I'm saying, as I was 22 and a half, I said, well, I was coming because I want to play with Jack Bruce of Cream and Ian Anderson of Chattertal and Aldi Mola. And the guy was looking at me and said, you must be crazy. You know who they are? I mean, it was 75, so it was a pretty long time ago, 42 years ago. And
don't I know it?
Chattertal was on the peak, and Cream was on the peak, and Aldi Mola was just the youngest Grammy winner as a guitar player. So this guy said, I'm crazy. So I came out of the refugee camp. I played my way through the studios and sold a couple of million records and played with everyone. But I was holding on to this dream, what I was promising to my dad on his very last day, that I will live my dreams and don't dream my life. So then I was starting to do the first lineup. This was about 25 years ago. And Ian Anderson of Chattertal and Jack Bruce of Cream, and Aldi Mola, of course, and Bobby Kimball of Toto, and David Clinton was of Blood, Sweat and Tears. Then Chris Thompson was joining me. And just to give you all an example, we were sitting during the second album recording here in my studio, and this is by the lake, a wonderful place in Bavaria, nearby Munich, and it was summer, and Jack Bruce and Bobby Kimball and Aldi, all of us were just sitting around the table, and Jack Bruce had a wonderful humor, and a very British and Scottish humor, and I said, "Hey Leslie, we are actually a boy group," and I said, "I want a joke," and I said, "No, we are a boy group. We need to go." And we had beer mats on the table, like in Bavaria, it was normal. And I said, "You know what? We pull our Sharpies, as what we use for signing autographs, and we write on a beer mat, hiding that no one can look at it around the table, who we would like to have as a girl in a boy band." So we all wrote that. So and I was just counting in, and we just count different. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and we just covered up the beer mats, and all of us, so Jack Bruce and Aldi Mola and barbecue everywhere, but it said, wrote down the very same name, Chaka Khan.
Oh my gosh!
So I called Chaka. We walked back to the studio. So I called Chaka. I said, "Chaka, darling, it just happened that we're sitting by the lake, and Jack Bruce is kidding, making jokes and making fun of us, and he's saying, yeah, we are a boy group, and we need to go." And we just, we found out you are the one. And okay, so Chuck and I say, "Okay, fine. When so I'm coming in tomorrow." And so she was taking the flight from Los Angeles to Munich. She was coming to the studio, and she was singing so incredibly beautifully. Or we were in a famous Abbey Road studios for some reason. I don't know why. It was not my place in Munich, but we were in London. And Bobby Kimball was singing a wonderful middle eight in one of our songs called "The Dreamers Not a Fool." I mean, it was just an incredible way of how he was singing it. And Jack was just sitting next to me at the mixing console, and I say, "You know what, Bobby is just pushing the talkback button," and so talking to him outside. And this is, the old studio where Beatles used to record. So you're looking down from the control room to the recording room. And so Jack was just saying, "Hey, Bobby, let me sing that part, what you were just singing, with a little bit passion, with emotion." And we laughed because Bobby Kimball was singing it so, he's genius. So Jack Bruce walks down the steps, and he sings the same line. And Bobby's saying, "Hey, Jack, you were singing it even with more passion and more emotion. So let me do it one more time." So that it was always this kind of very great and gentle, kind of humorous and competing to trying to find the very best. And so I'm,
Well, you
I'm
sure
very
did
pleased
it.
and honored.
I mean, that's some black book of contacts you've got there. I mean, that's really amazing. Yeah, it's, "Oh, I'm just going to call Chaka Khan. I'm just going to call Bobby Kimball. I'm just going to call Hallowell." I mean, that's a pretty amazing undertaking. I can only imagine, because, I mean, even when so many artists try to get together today, I mean, balancing schedules and availability and other projects that everything, that everyone has going on, it's pretty amazing. But one thing I do want to touch on, Leslie, because you've kind of just glossed over it, but I think it's maybe one of the most important things to touch on, one of the most significant and sensitive things to really touch on. And that, you mentioned that you were, 21, 22 years old in a refugee camp, and so much of your message with the projects that you're involved with is about freedom and peace and, just dreaming and everything like that. You get so many young artists today that try to share a similar message, but you lived it. You know what I mean? Like, I think to truly appreciate freedom, and this is just coming from me, again, I'm kind of one of these spoiled brats that doesn't know what it's like to live in an environment where you are oppressed, where you do have tyranny, where you don't have freedom. And it's easy to take things for granted when you don't know what the other side holds. But you do. You come from a history in a very special place where certainly you have to have a better appreciation for it than a lot of artists that just sing and talk about peace and freedom and dreaming and everything like that. What would what would be a message that you would want to maybe convey to artists out there to maybe have a greater appreciation and to be able to more fully embrace what it is that you went through. Is that even possible?
Yes, it is possible. I think we have to remember that we are talking about within a generation, within our, let's call it the first world.
Yeah.
We just had a dividing Iron Curtain in the middle of Europe, and thanks to American spirit. And yes, here I am as a European guy, and I'm saying, thank you, America, to holding on to this spirit. I mean, it's very easy and very fashionable today to criticizing.
Well, that's exactly
American
the point, though,
service.
Leslie. Like you lived in a time where you didn't take things like that for granted. Now it's almost like, especially with social media and all the different platforms that people have to just pipe off and spout their opinion and, put out all kinds of various news, whether it's valid or not, or legitimate or not, whatever. The fact of the matter is, I know that, my generation and certainly all the generations behind me have absolutely zero appreciation for the freedoms that they have today. I'm probably going to get slapped for that. But the fact of the matter is, they don't
Yes.
know, and you do.
Yeah, this is all about responsibility, and it's all about integrity.
Yeah.
And you were just pointing out, by nature, putting your finger into the wound, social media,
Yeah.
because social media is not, doesn't mean freedom. Because look at the algorithm. This is a dangerous tool, because since the Middle Age, we were just, as a mankind, we were just kind of protecting our data. That the letter was a kind of personal thing, and we would just try to keep secret and personal and to feel but our belongings, of all the emotional belongings, to us kind of safe. Today we spread around and we think this is freedom. This is not. Freedom is the freedom of the individual. If someone is in a different opinion as you are, and you like to discuss this opinion, you like to achieve a new way, and kind of merge your way of thinking, and try to find out what is uniting us. And freedom is something what is very fragile and very woundable, and especially because the social media is in a certain sense is also a social pornographic tool, because you just show too many things to the world what actually belongs to your loved ones, to your real friends.
That's an amazing
not
point.
what you quote. This is and herefore I think that artists are, when the world is changing and this filter bubbles and this echo chambers and this fake news and many postings are not legitimate. What is truth? And artists are not out for truth. Artists are out for integrity. And because I was there then my teacher were telling me daily that I'll never gonna see New York or Los Angeles in my life.
Wow.
I still, after all these years, when I'm taking one of my children, or even all three, and driving down the Mulholland in Los Angeles, but I always do with them whenever I'm in Los Angeles, or if I'm walking up the Broadway from really absolutely from downtown to the Upper East or Upper West Side, actually. Each time when I'm traveling the United States, from coast to coast and from north to south, I feel the American spirit of freedom. And watch out, guys. I mean, you give to the world the most precious idea, the individual freedom. All right? I'm also gonna say thank you. Thank you for all the passionate force to change this continent, Europe, to such a kind of motherhood of freedom. And when we come into the States, then we just are coming also to say thank you to you for your American spirit.
Yeah, no, excellent, excellent. So let's get back to it. January 29th, the Mandoki Soulmates are going to be at the Beacon Theater in New York City. What can people expect? That's a loaded question, I know. But, again, everyone over here, they're familiar with a number of the people that are part of your group, but they haven't seen everything as a whole. And this really is an amazing project that you have put together, and you guys have just been keeping it all to yourselves, being all selfish over there in Europe and Asia, Now finally we're getting a taste of you over here in the States. So what can people look forward to? What should they be prepared for?
Oh, it's very simple. You will hear true supergroup where everybody achieved in its own something exceptional. But we played together for over 28 years, and
wow.
And as you will hear something very classy craftsmanship. There is no digital tools. This is just really analog, really handcrafted. This is real Hammond as going to be played, and real Fender Rhodes, and this, everything is very, very naked. No electric and digital tools at all on stage, and because we believe that this handwritten musical letter to our audience is the answer on the question of our times. So what the people can expect is just a very long concert with a lot of soul food,
Nice.
but also a lot of intellectual messages in our lyrics and our music, and it's kind of complex compositions, long songs with very complex tempo changes and harmonic structures. So kind of really something very upper classy, kind of somewhat intellectual, mature, but at the same times very easygoing, because you will see a lot of great musicians to have incredible joy, that enjoying that the trumpet player is Randy Brecker, who with his 13 Grammys, this is the world best trumpet player, and just passing over to Corey Henry, and incredible keyboard player. So we will have a lot of fun and a very joyful night with a lot of messages, and we do believe that at the end of the show, and everybody feels the world was a little better after 3 hours as it was before, and or let's say after 4.5 hours, because we really play long shows. So because we are enjoying so much what we're doing, and everybody, all the promoters are saying, this time please only 2.5 hours, and we promise, and then this is in the dressing room, and we just set up the set list, and goes this and that and that. Let's do this 32 bars solo instead of 16 bars, and let's do this song, that song, and we, of course, we're gonna play also some classics of each member. That's, of course, we're gonna quote the classics, but it's actually fresh new music for the world of today.
All right. Now, after New York City, are there any plans for the Mandoki Soulmates to go cross country? Can we look forward to seeing you in some other cities across the country?
Yeah, this is obviously very obviously our first touchdown publicly,
right.
And we are looking forward to this is our knocking on the door of the American audience, and we are going to release our albums now in America.
Awesome.
And we are just middle of the process of the latest recording the upcoming album. So we will create a lot of ongoing activities, but this is our first, and at the very moment, the only touchdown in America.
Awesome.
America,
cool. So again, we're here with Leslie Mandoki and his group, the Mandoki Soulmates. are going to be, the Soulmates are going to be in New York City, January 29th at the Beacon Theater. And everybody, get your tickets. Make sure you get out there because this is going to be an epic event. And you're going to see some of the greatest. And you're going to, again, see what this man, Leslie, who is world-renowned for his talents, has put together. And I congratulate you, sir. I mean, really. I mean, what you're doing, what you've done, everything that you've endured to get to where you are today is really amazing. I think, you know, what you represent is a message of, you know, not only freedom and dreams, but perseverance. You know, and, you know, when you believe in something and you strive for it, there's nothing that can really get in your way. There's nothing too, you know, overwhelming that if you truly believe in it, you can get there. Because clearly here you are right now, I'm talking to you, and I can truly say I've never spoken to an artist to date that had to overcome the things you did. So I congratulate you, sir, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I see you at the Beacon, January 29th in New York City, and I'm hoping to have a drink after at the bar. The after show, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
The backstage after the show, and I'm looking for you all. Everybody was listening to us. Please don't forget January 29th. I'll see you, and we rock New York City.
Yes, yes, January 29th at the Beacon Theater with the Mandoki Soulmates. Leslie Mandoki, you truly are amazing. Thank you very much for your time.
I thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening.